Three, two, one. Hi, I'm John Miglosh with the WDMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. Well, there's a ton of news today, and I'm going to do a news day because I haven't done one in a couple of days. One of the first ones I thought was great. Victoria's Secret announced that they are no longer selling to men. They're going to sell to women the way other underwear companies sell to men. They're going to sell. Women want comfort. Women don't want runway shows. It's the men that want the runway shows. Which brings up a great point. Sometimes the people who tell you, let's understand our good customer and find more like them, it may not be the best thing. It may be what you've been doing over and over and over. I worked for the Kansas City Blood Center. And so that makes me a blood-sucking consultant. And I said, your profile says, your donors are all wealthy white women, I have to say. And they said, yeah, that seems right. That's where we get all our blood donations. I said, what do you do for marketing to generate blood donations? Oh, they said we advertise in House Beautiful and in Kansas City Magazine and all these other places. I said, why did you do that? They said, because our board is all wealthy white women. And I don't mean to be racist or sexist. That's what they are. Okay. And so anyway, I said, well, maybe your opportunity is marketing the opposite is what you've been doing. And that's what Victoria's Secret says. They said they're going to talk to their customers who are women who want comfort. And they're going to offer products that are comfortable. What an idea. I'm not sure that it'll keep them in business because I think there's plenty of other underwear companies that have that slot filled. But that's just one of the news items. Okay. Lots of observations from new technologies from Europe. GDPR woes continue. Okay. 4 months into the implementation of GDPR, cookies are way down. There's a huge impact, though, over here across the pond. I've been fighting for 9 months now with a company that does that works with digital visitors and the information. What can we get for the people about the people that visit our web, and their contract. When we get to the contract, it has due to PII legislation, which is the privacy legislation. It's the privacy referendum that passed. But in California, they have binding referendums. So it's not legislation. It's a referendum that passed. It doesn't take effect for 2 years. And yet, this company has rewritten their contract saying, due to federal regulations, this is not a federal regulation. It's not a legislation. It's a referendum that doesn't take into account. It doesn't take effect for 2 years. But they are saying, you can't have this data. You can't have that data. I said, okay, you find me that legislation. Find me any legislation that exists. I'm somewhat versed in this, and they can't. And then the consequence, they say, so therefore you can't have these pieces of information, and you can't share them with your client. Okay, but the client can't do anything with them. Anyway, so GDPR is making a huge impact behind the scenes. My web hosting company changed their privacy statement, and it's like, you don't have to do this. California's crazy. But it isn't even binding. Let's take a deep breath. Okay, but the most important thing that I want to talk about today. Oh, no, wait. We got to get a couple more of these news items in because it's just so fun. We're not going to do that one. That one we're going to talk about next week. But I just wanted to talk about McDonald's. The McDonald's Diversity Project. These two guys, they got on Ellen this week. They got on Ellen's show because they went to a McDonald's and they had all this diversity and all these ethnicities, but no Asians. And everybody in the pictures looked like they were having a great time. So they shot a big picture of themselves in the same style. They actually went to Goodwill and they found McDonald's McDonald's uniforms, and they regional interior coordinator IDs they made up. And they purchased old McDonald's uniforms from Goodwill, and they put up their own poster. And 51 days later, McDonald's noticed that it wasn't one of their posters that was up in the store. It was these two guys. So they each gave them $25,000. They said, we're going to use the two of you in a marketing campaign. Anyway, what a great world. Okay, so now back to the real story. Okay, huge story. We did a live stream about last week, Thursday, with George Isaacson, who argued the Supreme Court case of Wayfair versus the state of South Dakota. Justice Kennedy had helped state of South Dakota craft this legislation, and they had created, after the Quill case, a consortium of simplified sales tax states, about 21 states. Okay, and but this court case was a disaster. The Wayfair was a disaster. Why? People say, oh, the retailers just want a level playing field. They have to collect sales tax. Yeah, okay. They collect sales tax based on the location of their store, so that if they're in Jefferson County, they don't have to collect the extra 0.5% tax for the Miller Park baseball diamond. Okay, they don't have to. I would have to here in Waukesha County. Okay, so they only have to deal with one jurisdiction, with where the store is. What if everybody who came into the store had to show their driver's license and say, this is where I live, and then the store would have to figure out the sales tax for that person? That's what they're asking the online merchants to do, and the tiny ones can't do it. And not only that, but it opens the door to all sorts of, California has laws on the minimum square foot of a chicken coop. And what's to stop them from saying, oh, we're going to impose our chicken humanitarian legislation on your chicken farm here in Wisconsin? There's no limit. And in fact, states that are not part of the simplified tax consortium are sending out bills now based on their estimates of what kind of business, what kind of sales your business is going to do in their state. Massachusetts is sending out bills, even though they're not part of the simplified sales tax consortium. They're not part of anything. They're making it retroactive to the dawn of time, or they're saying back umpteen years, you haven't been paying this, you owe us big bucks, big, huge, tens of thousands or millions of dollars. Okay, so my congressman, Jim Sensenbrenner of Wisconsin, I just called his office. I talked to Matthew there, and I said, Matthew, we got to get this done. We got to get this through. And he says, yeah, and it's this week. I said, if there's anything I can do, I will do it, okay? So if you're a mailer out there, if you're an e-commerce company, if you want to at least limit the number of people who can come into your office and do audits. Imagine every tax. There's 12,000 taxing authorities in the United States of America. Imagine if all of them could, or better yet, imagine if bounty hunters could come to your company and say, oh, we represent these states, these cities, etc., and we're just looking to see how much you owe them, and we get a cut. It'll put you out of business. It'll put you right out of business. The camel's nose is already under the tent. How do you stop a camel from getting into the tent? Don't let him get his nose in it. It's already in. I can't believe Justice Kennedy did that. It was such careless decision by the Supreme Court. No retailer could figure this out. And so, consequently, call your state representative, call your congressman, call your senator, and tell them support Jim Sensenbrenner's bill to limit the Supreme Court. It's called the Online Sales Simplicity and Small Business Tax Relief Act of 2018. Okay, I'll highlight that for you. Okay, the Online Sales and Relief Act of 2018. So there's a lot of fun in marketing. We're having a lot of fun, but this is serious. This is something you got to do. Pick up the phone, call your senator, call your legislator, your congressman, and tell them, I want you to support the Online Simplicity and Small Business Relief Act of 2018. It sets a $10 million, if your total sales in the United States are less than $10 million, you're exempt. God bless. It's a little low, I would say. But anyway, it does that, and it limits uh, the imposition of, or it limits who can come in and audit you, and it also limits the reporting requirements, which is crucial. It also says they can't start charging this, but they're going to start charging in October 1st, next week. I want you to call today. Call your congressman, call your senator. It's a big name. Online Sales Simplicity and Small Business Relief Act of 2018. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. Hit like, but hit share. Share it to your network. This is really important. We got to get this done in the next week.